Hello everyone, we bid farewell to 2025 and welcome 2026. But did you know that there are certain years many Chinese people fear deep down, not out of superstition, but because of historical memory? These years include moments from the past and also the 2 years that are about to arrive. By 2026 and 2027, because they share a name, red horse and the red goat. Astrologically speaking, the fire horse and the fire goat, periods historically associated with turmoil rather than color symbolism. Who first proposed this concept? We have to mention Zhang Jixian, the 20th celestial master of the Zhengyi Taoist tradition. Born in 1092 CE, he inherited the title of celestial master at just 9 years old.
In 1103, a disaster occurred in Shanxi province. Lake Ting-Jeizhou was flooded, causing severe damage to local livelihoods and bringing the salt industry to a halt. The emperor believed this was the work of malevolent forces and issued an imperial order summoning the celestial master to the court. That year, Zhang Zhixian was only 13 years old. When the emperor met this young celestial master, he could not help but feel skeptical. He asked him, "You live on Mount Longhu. Have you ever seen a dragon or a tiger?" Tiger answered calmly and without hesitation. Tigers are often seen in the mountains, but the true dragon, the son of heaven, I am seeing for the first time today. In Chinese culture, the dragon is a sacred totem and a symbol of imperial authority. The Wei emperor regarded himself as the true dragon. Hearing this, the emperor was greatly pleased and realized that this child was no ordinary figure. The emperor asked Zhang Zhixian to deal with what was believed to be a serpent demon in the salt lake. Zhang did not go himself. Instead, he sent his disciples and palace eunuchs with a talisman he had drawn, instructing them to place it at the site of the collapse. Soon after, the sky suddenly darkened. Thunder roared, lightning flashed, and violent winds swept across the land, turning day into night. When Kang finally returned, the crowd looked again. Floating at the center of the salt lake was the corpse of a gigantic flood dragon. The news quickly reached the capital. The emperor, both shocked and delighted, summoned Zhang Jixian once more and asked, "Which divine general did you send? May I see him?" Zhang replied that the divine general he had dispatched was Guan Yu. Guan Yu was a famous general of the Three Kingdoms period, revered as the god of war. He had died in 220 AD, more than 800 years before the Song dynasty. Naturally, the emperor did not believe this. At that moment, Zhang Jixian pointed his sword toward the left side of the hall. Instantly, Guan Yu appeared in full battle armor before the court. The emperor was utterly stunned and, in panic, threw a copper coin toward him. Guan Yu was later officially granted the title Changning Zhenzhou, and the young celestial master who was said to summon Guan Yu became famous throughout the empire. After this, Zhang Jixian privately reported something far more important to the emperor: the ominous sign known as Red Horse and Red Goat. Zhang Jixian's intention was not to declare fate of a noble. He warned the emperor that the coming Red Horse, Red Goat period would be a time of heightened risk, urged the ruler to cultivate virtue and moral governance. He stated clearly that ominous signs do not equal a fixed destiny. What truly determines the outcome is the ruler's conduct. He even said outright, evil cannot prevail over virtue. However, the emperor devoted most of his time to artistic pursuits and Taoist immortality practices. Nini.
The traditional Chinese calendar is based on the system of heavenly stems and earthly branches. There are 10 heavenly stems, 甲乙丙丁戊己庚辛壬癸. There are 12 earthly branches, 子丑寅卯辰巳午未申酉戌亥. When combined sequentially, they form 60 unique pairs, creating a sexagenary circle. The heavenly stems correspond to the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, earth, while the earthly branches correspond to the 12 Chinese zodiac animals: rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, pig. So, what is the fire horse and the fire goat? The years Bingwu and Dingwei are associated with fire. Bing and Ding belong to the fire element, symbolized by the color red. Wu represents the horse and Wei represents the goat. Therefore, Bingwu is called the fire horse year and Dingwei the fire goat year.
Time passed to the Jin Kang era, the year 1126, a Bingwu year. That year, the Jin army from the north advanced southward in 2 forces, heading straight for Bianjing, the capital of the Song dynasty. Only then did the emperor recall the warning given by the young celestial master years earlier. But it was far too late. In fear, he hastily abdicated the throne to his son and fled south to Zhenjiang. But changing emperors changed nothing. Jin Kuang forces soon surrounded the capital, and within a month, the city fell. What followed was one of the darkest and most humiliating chapters in Chinese history, known as the Jin Kang humiliation. The 2 emperors, along with princes, princesses, officials, palace women, artisans, over 14,000 people were taken captive. In addition, more than 100,000 civilians were also seized. The national treasury was completely emptied. Along the journey north, the captives suffered from hunger and cold. Nearly half died within the first month alone. Those who survived faced even more brutal fates. Upon arrival in Jin territory, captives of all ages and genders were stripped to the waist and forced to wear sheepskins, quipped. Light-like lifestyle, symbols of absolute humiliation and powerlessness. Covenants, concubines, and princesses were not spared. The 26-year-old empress was forced to bathe publicly for spectators. Unable to endure the humiliation, she took her own life. Many women were abused to death. This became a deep wound in the collective memory of the Chinese people, and all of it had been warned of more than a decade earlier by Zhang Jixian. Zhang Jixian was not the only one to notice this pattern. Another scholar of the Song dynasty, Chai Wang, also identified the recurring historical pattern of red horse and red goat. In 1246, another Bingwu year, a solar eclipse occurred on New Year's Day. Because ancient Chinese believed in the interaction between heaven and humanity, an eclipse during the Spring Festival was considered a grave omen. The court was thrown into panic. Chai Wang compiled a work titled Admonitions of Bing and Ding, analyzing events from 1255 BC to 947 AD, spanning nearly 1,200 years. He identified 21 occurrences of Bingwu and Dingwei years, and found that major upheavals almost always accompanied them. Relations, Kapisk Uplites, presented this work to the emperor at that time in hopes that history could serve as a warning and encourage vigilance. However, since the Jin Kang humiliation had occurred in a Bingwu year, it was a scar the dynasty could not bear to revisit. The emperor was enraged. Chai Wang was imprisoned, and after his release, withdrew into seclusion. From then on, red horse and red goat cast an even deeper shadow in historical memory.
Even in modern times, the circle associated with fire horse and fire goat continues to repeat. The most recent occurrence was in 1966 and 1967, one of the most turbulent periods in modern Chinese history. The Cultural Revolution began in 1966 and reached its peak in 1967. It lasted for 10 years, paralyzing the state and apparatus, tearing society apart, and resulting in millions of abnormal deaths. Historically, these 2 years have an almost 100% likelihood of major upheaval. Some practitioners deeply versed in the I Ching and Ziwei astrology began preparing for these years long ago. One example is a YouTuber, metaphysics creator known as Dalu, who moved to his family out of China years ago, first to Japan and later to South Korea. He had said his relocation was meant to avoid the fire horse and fire goat. However, he does not believe the impact is limited to mainland China. In his view, China is the epicenter, and the surrounding regions will also feel the shock waves. Ancient China did not have a concept of the entire world. The word China itself meant the center of the world. Strictly speaking, the traditional calendar focused on events within China, but it does not mean the rest of the world is unaffected. When a year is unfavorable for China, it often coincides with global instability. According to the chaos theory, the flap of the butterfly's wings in South America can trigger a tornado in Texas. The world is a dynamic system. Small events can be amplified through the nonlinear process, eventually causing major changes elsewhere. The rise of the Khmer Rouge was deeply influenced by the Cultural Revolution, and in 1966 and in 1967, the United States was also deeply entangled in the Vietnam War. This type of catastrophe appears every 60 years, sometimes as natural disasters, sometimes as human-made crises, wars, or famines. The fear of it has been etched into the collective memory of Chinese people. Why does this generation fear sudden collapse so deeply? Because disasters may arrive without warning, creep closer slowly, or prove impossible to stop. These experiences taught humanity 3 lessons. Systems can fail instantly. Authority does not always have answers, and survival depends on preparation. This is the deep psychological root behind stockpiling behavior, attachment to property and land, and the reliance on so-called stable jobs. This fear does not only belong to my ancestors, it is also deeply embedded in my mother's heart and in mine as well.
As long as I can remember, there was always a grain jar in our home, over a meter tall. My mother used to say with pride that every payday, she would first buy enough grain for a whole month. Only then could she feel at ease. When I was in middle school, rumors spread that bedding materials were about to rise in price. My mother joined the rush. State-owned stores were emptied, and in the chaos, an elderly woman collapsed and suffered a stroke while grabbing fabric. The white cloth my mother bought was enough for our family to use for 30 years. Even after life improved, she continued buying rice and flour, only in 55-pound bags. None of us wanted to help. No one could carry them. She went alone, strong enough to shoulder a 110-pound sack. Her hoarding never stopped. Our small home filled with things that would never be used, slowly turning into a recycling station. Anything relatives no longer wanted, she kept stored away forever, untouched, collecting dust. Our neighbors were the same. Stairwells were blocked with abandoned furniture no one dared to throw away. The large lawn in our complex was overtaken by junk collected by an elderly man with a generous pension, who scavenged daily until a fire finally forced everything to be cleared. Hoarding was a collective behavior of their generation. When I went abroad, there were several large supermarkets right outside my mother's neighborhood. Supplies were abundant. Our family owned property, a car, even had a live-in helper. Yet my mother tripped over stacks of old cardboard she had hoarded, was hospitalized, and paid heavily for it. Then came 2020. During the COVID pandemic, I video called her and asked if she had stored food. She hadn't. With a helper cooking, stockpiling no longer crossed her mind. Having lived through SARS in 2003, I panicked. How could you not store food? I immediately ordered rice, flour, beef, compressed biscuits, and instant noodles for her online every day. In Canada, I did the same. Like many Chinese shaped by a fear of famine, I rushed to the supermarket. But I soon noticed something strange. Locals were panic buying beer, bottled water, hand sanitizer, even condoms. Rice, flour, meat, and vegetables were left untouched. People without famine in their collective memory simply didn't think about food the same way. Still, I bought boxes of long-lasting canned fish and stored them in my basement. In 2023, Montreal was hit by a severe hailstorm that caused a citywide blackout. The city shut down. Stores closed for a week. My canned fish finally proved useful. In that moment, I realized that the deep memory of the Great Famine, once embedded in my mother's body, had quietly come back to life in mine. It was not merely hoarding. It was the memory of historical trauma embedded in her body, now vividly resurfacing in mine.
Beyond the fire horse and the fire goat, there is another time framework many Chinese people fear, the system known as 3 circles and the 9 periods. It divided the time into 180-year grand circles, split it into 3 60-year phases, each further divided into 3 20-year periods, forming 9 periods in total. This system is based on astronomical movements, particularly the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn every 20 years. From 2024 to 2043, the world is said to be in a fire period. fire represents innovation and technological breakthroughs, but also fire-related disasters, war, and conflict. Since 2024, global tensions have escalated, including the expansion of the Israel-Palestine conflict, direct military confrontation between Iran and Israel, and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Some Chinese metaphysical practitioners have predicted that 2026 may see an increase in aviation accidents and traffic-related incidents. During the fire-dominated years, emotions tend to run high, so people are advised to avoid crowded places when possible. A Thai prophetic figure named Plai described the fire horse of 2026 and 2027 as not an ordinary horse, but one running directly into flames. She warned that disasters may occur in clusters, especially in 2027, when water and fire energies coexist, raising concerns even about the emergence of new epidemics. Modern cities are no longer inherently safe, and disasters can happen to anyone. So how should we respond to an increasingly unstable world? There are several ways that might help you. 1. Understand the energy of the fire period. Accept that external conditions may be uncontrollable, but your reactions are not. 2. Build psychological safety. Maintain a regular routine. Practice meditation or exercise, and limit attention to negative news. 3. Build physical safety. Keep your living space secure and organized, and prepare basic emergency supplies. 4. Regulate emotions. Use breathing techniques, meditation, gentle movement, or journaling to process anxiety. 5. Social support. Cultivate a circle of trusted friends or family. 6. Financial caution. Avoid high-risk investments and make decisions carefully. Recently, a trend has gone viral on Twitter, the American cut-off line, meaning that when income falls below expenses, survival becomes impossible. Next is a story shared by a netizen about helping a child escape the financial cut-off line in Canada.
My friend's older son had just graduated from college and moved overseas for work. So she decided to sell his old bed and some furniture on Facebook. It wasn't worth much, and she casually chose a Chinese buyer. The person who came to pay was a very skinny young man who looked Chinese, but he didn't speak Chinese at all. He asked if she could help deliver the furniture because he didn't have a car. She and her husband drove the furniture to his place. It was a shared rental unit in a bad area. Seeing how thin he was, and that he didn't even have tools, she asked her husband to help assemble the furniture. While her husband worked, she talked with the boy and gently suggested he find a better place to live. That's when he shared his story. During the pandemic, both of his parents passed away. His family wasn't wealthy, and after paying for the funerals, almost all the money was gone. He had a degree in linguistics. A third-generation immigrant, he spoke English and French, and only a little Cantonese. He couldn't find work in Quebec, so he moved to Ontario to tutor. But the tutoring center gave him very few hours. Life was hard, and this place was cheap. He told her he was saving up for a computer. With one, he could apply for better jobs instead of using public computers at the library. Her heart softened. When she got home, she gathered her younger son's unused laptop, phone, and iPad. She and her husband brought them, along with dinner, back to the boy's place. He was incredibly polite, thanking them over and over, even offering them soda. She helped him download WeChat and told him to reach out if he ever needed help. One day, she received a message from him. "Do you need an English or French tutor? I charge $30 an hour. Tutors usually charge around $60. She knew he must be struggling again, so she agreed. Her younger son wasn't happy. His French was already above average, and he didn't think he needed tutoring. But she said, "Only IB students study French for 4 years here. His chances are limited. I just want to test his teaching. If he's good, I'll recommend him." Reluctantly, her son agreed to one lesson. The boy turned out to be an excellent teacher. Her son booked lessons all the way to finals. 3 weeks later, his grades improved noticeably. She introduced the tutor to a parents' group chat, and his client list slowly grew. He taught both French and English. Little by little, his life got back on track. 6 months later, he moved into a better apartment. A year later, parents complained he was too busy. It was hard to even book him. I asked my friend why she helped him. She said, "If one day we're gone and our children end up like this, I hope someone would reach out and pull them up. In a foreign country, we survive by helping each other." Once the boy's life stabilized, she quietly stepped back. She never saw herself as a savior, just someone who did a small thing when it mattered.
Let us end today's video with this warm story. From now on, let us face the world with kindness. Remember the warning given by the celestial Master John over 900 years ago? Disasters are never greater than human goodness. The world may be entering a period of uncertainty, but humanity has never stopped reaching out to one another.